Hi, everyone. I'm Divya, and I'm an email production specialist at the News Revenue Hub. In this session, we'll be talking about subject lines. We'll talk about writing compelling subject lines that help your emails stand out in crowded inboxes and get opened. So let's get started. We'll talk a little bit about why subject lines matter, the qualities and characteristics of a good subject line. We'll go through some examples of good and bad subject lines and talk through some ideas for A/B testing subject lines. So, first things first, as an organization that sends presumably many emails, it's safe to assume that your reader's inbox is crowded. So, subject lines, therefore, are the first line of defense in their inbox. So, as such, your email should help the reader answer two questions: who this email is from, and if it is worth opening. Subject lines matter because they are your organization's first impression. Most people scan their inbox in seconds, and your subject line is often what decides whether your email gets opened, ignored, or deleted. Your subject line also helps the reader organize and prioritize what to open or ignore in a crowded inbox. And finally, your subject lines help play a big role in impacting your email key performance indicators, your KPIs, like open and click rates. A good subject line can help boost those rates, whereas on the flip side, a bad subject line can trigger spam filters and get your email sent to spam. So, a good subject line. A good subject line is clear, specific, and makes the recipient or the reader curious or feel something. Here are a few principles that make subject lines more effective. They prioritize clarity over cleverness. If your subject line is confusing, people won't open. They are concise. They are often no more than 9 words or come under 60 characters. There are obvious exceptions, but by and large, this is a good limit to stay under. And finally, your subject lines should be consistent and use a tone that matches your brand. Newsrooms have credibility, so you should lean into that trust and keep maintaining it. So let's take a look at a few examples. In the first and second one, how local officials are spending your tax dollars, election results are in, here's what you need to know. The subject line is clear, specific, and it promises value and answers a question or answers a question for the reader. In the third one, which is more relevant to organizations in the middle of a fundraising campaign, you tell the reader exactly what you need from them, and you underscore both urgency and clarity in the subject line. The last one is a clear example of a bad subject line. It's bad because it's vague, it's promotional, or it sounds tonally off, and it doesn't help the reader or it doesn't tell the reader why they need to open this email. So you really don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Just think like your reader. What would you open? Here are a few more examples, real examples from INN newsrooms. The first two from the trace explain the value of a donation right out of the gate. It makes it clear that any donation's impact can be multiplied fourfold during the trace's 10-year anniversary campaign. The second one uses the pre-header space to add context to the messaging in the subject line. It gets at the philosophy behind the trace's work, so it's not a direct fundraising appeal or an ask, but it appeals to the impact motivation for your readers. Both the third one and fourth one I thought were good examples of appropriate and economical emoji usage. They are consistent with the banner and the civil lead's tone and voice and authority. And the last one from Civil Eats also uses the pre-header text to get at a second or third story in the email. So you offer readers a little bit more value in the limited real estate that you have in their inbox. So we talked a little bit about impact, questions, using the pre-header text space. These are all spaces within the inbox in which you can test different things, which brings us to A/B testing. So you can and you should be testing your subject lines. So A/B testing is when you send two versions of a subject line to small segments of your list, after which MailChimp or your ESP sends the winner to the rest of your list based on opens. Here's why A/B testing matters. A/B testing is where small tweaks can help improve your open rates dramatically. And it also helps you learn what resonates with your audience. It's one of the most effective ways to improve open rates over time. So let's talk a little bit about what you can test in this space. So you can test using a statement or a question in the subject line. So can we count on your support versus we're counting on your support? Questions naturally invite engagement. They make people pause or mentally respond. This example, can we count on your support, feels personal and open-ended, whereas the statement we're counting on your support feels a little more authoritative and assertive. You can try testing both to see which tone your audience responds to. Next, we talked a little bit about economical emoji usage. You can try testing using an emoji versus not using an emoji. Emojis can make your subject line pop in crowded inboxes. It might catch the eye faster than plain text. Then again, emojis aren't for every audience. Some see them as maybe a little too casual or unprofessional. What you can do is try testing a relevant emoji versus a plain subject line to see how your readers respond. You can also run another basic A/B test with subject line length. So for example, the trace turns 10 today gets to the point. The short subject lines are fast and scannable, especially on mobile. Whereas longer subject lines give you more room to explain and add some more context. Each one has its place. Like I said, this is good guidance, and these are good places to test. So each one has its place, and you should run tests to see which one performs better with your lists. Next, we'll talk a little bit about framing, which can be especially relevant during fundraising season. Sometimes the way you frame your ask can matter more than the ask itself. So for example, we're $1,200 away from our goal. Will you help us get there is direct, urgent, whereas help power local news focuses on the impact of giving. In this kind of test, you're testing whether your audience is more responsive to action or to mission-driven language. You could also try framing asks in terms of urgency versus neutrality. You could assess time sensitivity using deadlines. Urgency can often drive action, especially in fundraising. Only 12 or 24 hours left to give emphasizes that hard deadline. But sometimes, especially in the middle of a busy fundraising campaign, it might not always be appropriate and it might induce fatigue in your readers. The neutral version, support local news today, or we're almost there, help us cross the finish line. It's a little bit more neutral, doesn't use numbers or hard deadlines. It can feel a little bit more evergreen. Try testing both to see whether urgency boosts, opens, or burns out your readers. Finally, a few other elements you can test. You can test personalization. This is a common one. You can use your reader's first name in the subject line to see whether that boosts your opens. You can also use your organization's name. That might help increase familiarity and authority in your audience's inbox. And a couple more framing angles you can test. You can test using framing your subject line in terms of a problem versus a solution. So that would look something like why our schools are underfunded versus how to fix school funding in our city. And you can try, for your fundraising campaigns, you can try revealing versus withholding the results of your campaign. You know, we met our fundraising goal versus we did it, you made it happen. The first one informs the reader, is clear, it tells them exactly what to expect inside the email, versus the second one introduces a little more curiosity and encourages the reader to open to see what they made happen. A few tips while you are A/B testing to keep in mind: only change one variable per test. Using or testing more than one variable can muddy the results, and you may not be able to get meaningful data. So test just one variable, maybe personalization, length, emoji use, to isolate results and to get better data. The next one, think about your sample size. You should be running tests with at least 1,000 recipients per version to get meaningful data. And finally, think about what you're testing with each element of the email. If you are tracking KPIs like open rate, you should be tracking KPIs like open rate for subject line tests. Whereas if you're testing content inside the email, say for different donors or different members, depending on who opens the email, you should be tracking click-through and donation rate. Which brings us to the end of the session. If you have any questions, please write to hello@newsmatch.org with your questions. We can get them answered. And finally, good luck. Thank you all.